Looking at the body of the bass, we can see that it makes up a significant portion of the instrument. As well as changing the sound of the bass by constructing the body out of different woods, it serves as a platform on which to mount the other key components of the instrument. These are the pickups, the bridge, and any onboard electronics. Taking the pickups first, these are located anywhere in the area between the bridge and the end of the fingerboard. Some basses have one pickup, others might have two, and for those of you that have heard of or seen Bootsy Collins, his bass uses 5. A pickup is basically a big magnet that detects or picks up the vibration of a string and converts this vibration into a voltage. It's this very low-level signal that we amplify, and this gives us the sound of the bass guitar. Pickups come in different shapes and sizes, and each design sounds slightly different. Certain bass manufacturers are renowned for using particular pickups in their basses. For example, you might have heard of single coil or jazz bass pickups. Humbucker pickups are the type that I've got in this bass, or some Fender basses use what's called a split coil pickup. Let's move on to the bridge. Bass guitar bridges vary from simple bent pieces of metal to much more elaborate designs, but regardless of looks, their function remains the same. Its purpose is to anchor the string securely at one end so that it can be tensioned and tuned to pitch by the tuning pegs on the headstock. The bridge also helps to transfer vibrations from the strings through to the body of the bass, and this in turn helps a note to sustain and gives the instrument a greater depth of tone. You may have heard people talking about something called scale length. The scale length of a bass guitar is quite simply the distance between the bridge and the nut, and in most cases it's typically around 33 to 35 inches in length. The bridge unit also allows you to make adjustments to the action, which is basically the height of the strings from the fingerboard, and also something called the intonation. Intonation involves lengthening or shortening a string by a very small amount to ensure that it plays perfectly in tune, whether you fret it on the first or the last fret. Lastly, let's have a look at the onboard electronics. As with the pickups, the number of knobs and switches can vary greatly from one bass to another. Typically, you would have a master volume and a pan control. The pan control allows you to blend between the outputs of either the front or back pickups, giving you the ability to greatly change the tone of the instrument. As the instrument I'm using is what we call an active bass, I also have the ability to change the tone in a bigger way by using an onboard EQ. Further to pan and volume, I can on this instrument independently change the bass, middle, and treble settings to sculpt a sound to suit most musical styles. The basic difference between an active bass and a passive bass is that an onboard battery powers the electronics inside of an active bass. Now, there's been much debate as to which is supposed to be better, but I believe that if you're happy with the sound of your bass, then that's what's important. If, like me, you've got a lot of different knobs and switches, take the time now to get used to what each one does. Try and listen to how turning each knob affects the tone and the sound of the instrument, and getting more familiar with your bass and how it works can, in my opinion, only be seen as a very good thing to do. I certainly hope that this overview of the bass guitar has been informative and that you've managed to take away something useful from it. Don't panic though if you fully haven't understood some of the terminology used at the moment. It's early days, and I'll be explaining some of these details in greater depth as we continue through these lessons together. I'll see you next time.